Hey everybody, Sean here, and I hope you're not going to hell like Jerry says. Yeah, so let's jump right in. And special thanks to Brian Bernal for sharing this. The person we're looking at today is Prophet Jerry L. Toney. He looks a little bit like so-called Prophet Chuck Pierce. And as we can see, yep, he thinks that is the mark of the beast. Now, I don't know much about this guy except that he calls himself a prophet, but he does have almost 40,000 subscribers. And the video we're looking at today is called The Wrath of God and the Mark of the Beast. And he's got people all scared about taking the mark of the beast already. One comment is rather telling though. They ask, did you change your channel from pastor to prophet? I guess this is a recent thing, and this person is concerned because some people won't listen to his message if it's got a self-titled label like prophet, and they're right. But like most self-appointed prophets and apostles, he doesn't seem to care. But let's listen to his message and help assure you that if you got the jab, it's not the mark of the beast and you aren't going to hell.
What I want to do is talk about the wrath of Jesus Christ that's now come upon the earth, and even the mark of the beast. There are many who are denying that this has taken place, and I'm wondering if some of those have not now repented just at what we are seeing. They'll tell you we're not seeing the wrath of Jesus Christ. However, the wrath of Jesus Christ is here. Now, I will make this statement. I do know for a truth that the tribulation has not started and will not start. In my previous message, I made it very clear that the rapture of the church takes place before the tribulation, and it will happen. It is our blessed hope. But the first four seals of Revelation chapter 6 are wide open when many of the prophecy teachers from the past taught us that the rapture of the church takes place at Revelation chapter 4, but it's too obvious and in our face that what we're seeing is the wrath of Jesus Christ.
Okay, so as you can hear, Jerry is a pre-trib rapture believer, but seems a bit confused. He says the tribulation has not started, but the first four seals are wide open. Well, if they're open, the tribulation and Daniel's 70th week has begun. And if Jesus' wrath, or the wrath of the Lamb, is here, then we're already after the sixth seal. If we look at the verses before these, a great earthquake had happened, the sun turned black, and the moon turned red. So right from the start, we can see something off with his timeline. But let's continue.
But the first seal with the first rider who has a bow is wide open, and that word bow translates into the word in the Greek toxin, T-O-X-O-N. It's where we get our word toxin. It's also known as, now you'll have to step outside of the Calvinist translation and go directly to Google, I would say, just Google Greek translation for T-O-X-O-N, and you will see that it clearly is the Greek soldiers dipped their arrows in a poison, okay? In poison. The Greek, they dipped their arrows in a poison, okay?
So this is how it all starts. Yes, the Greek word is toxin and means bow. He calls this a Calvinistic translation. I think it's just Greek. So now we'll go to the Google. But hey, what about all the people for the first 2,000 years after Jesus that didn't have Google? Anyhow, if we do what he said, yes, we do see it mean bow. And then it gives us some more info of what soldiers would do. But that doesn't change the meaning of bow to mean something more.
In poison. I find that strangely coincidental. The second seal is peace is taken from the earth. We're seeing the wars rage. We're seeing rumors of wars with China and the U.S. now at each other's throat.
But if we look at Matthew 24, Jesus tells us that when we see these things, not to be alarmed and that the end is still to come. This is just the beginning of birth pains. But he's saying we're in the 7 years already. So things aren't adding up. I will leave the full link below, but let's jump forward to his over-the-top false beliefs.
We understand this, that those who have taken the toxin have taken the mark of the beast, and they are the walking dead. They have literally given their eternal hope up. It's gone.
So he's saying that if you got the toxin in you, you're the walking dead and are now hellbound. I know many Christians that have taken it and they're just as on fire for Christ as they were before. He's going to try and explain his understanding, and we'll do our best to correct him in love.
I want to read some scripture for you and show you as I move on down to see exactly what I'm talking about in scripture. But many will say it's not the mark, okay? Before you say it, let's look at scripture and let's see the translation as to what this really has to say. Revelation 9, verse 21, neither repented they of their murderers or of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, or of their thefts. When you read the book of Revelation, keep your eye on that word, sorceries, or even the word witchcraft, okay? It is a key word for understanding for the time that we're in. It's the Greek word pharmakia, sorceries, witchcraft. Pharmakia, it's where we get our word pharmacy or drug. But let's look at the word mark again.
So he's trying to connect this pharmakia to this so-called mark. But that verse is after the sixth trumpet judgment. These people also agreed to worship the beast and its image. This has nothing to do with taking a so-called medicine thinking it will help you.
But let's look at the word mark again and take a really good look at it. I'll go over to Revelation 13:16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Mark is a charagma in the Greek. If we look further, it comes from the Greek word charax, a pointed stake or a rampart, a military mound for siege. A mounted stave, mounted stave, a mounted stave, a mounted stave, a charax, a mounted stave. Just like the word toxin, a Greek arrow dipped in poison.
That word meant bow, not Greek arrow dipped in poison. And if we look at the word charagma, we see it can mean a stamp, an engraving, or a sign. It's further explained as a mark providing undeniable identification, like a symbol giving irrefutable connection between parties. We also see the mark described like an impression on a coin, or an identification marker with an owner's unique brand. Does the toxin show that we have willingly agreed to serve and follow the Antichrist? Not at all.
But this is the mark of the beast. Okay, let me continue. The mark of the beast is permanent, by the way. It cannot be forgiven, and it will not be forgiven. Revelation 14:9. And a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or hand.
Once again, this all ties into also worshiping the beast and his image, and this toxin has no connection to doing that.
Forehead or hand. I'm not going to forget to tell you what the hand is and the forehead. Let me clear that up a little bit. The forehead is the area between and behind the eyes. Behind and between the eyes. And actually the word hand means arm, the arm.
No, this is not true. The word for hand in Greek is chair and means hand. We can see the word for upper arm is a totally different word. Here they are side by side. But let's continue.
You see, taking the toxin is the mark of the beast that alters your DNA eternally. It's an eternal decision. Once you change your God-given gene, you are no longer human. This is what they're doing. You're taking the toxin is an eternal decision. Revelation 14, verse 10. The same shall drink the wine of wrath of God, which is poured out with a mixture and to the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up to heaven forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark and his name.
Once again, this has nothing to do with worshiping the beast and its image, but he thinks it does.
And many people will tell you, well, I'm not worshiping the beast. Anytime you fall to fear, you're worshiping the mark of the beast. You're worshiping the beast. You see, fear is the absence of faith. When you follow the beast system, you have become part of the system.
He says anytime you fall to fear, you're worshiping the mark of the beast.
Anytime you fall to fear, you're worshiping the mark of the beast. You're worshiping the beast.
This is a new level. Now you're worshiping the actual mark of the beast if you fall into fear. Bible verse, please? And what if I fear spiders? Please, for anyone out there that's put a positive comment on this man's video, realize that he doesn't have a clue what's going on. And if you've got the toxin in you, you haven't lost your salvation and you're not going to hell. Taking the mark of the beast will be a very conscious decision after someone has first agreed to worship the beast and his image. This won't be done by accident. And as for you, Jerry, if this is the type of prophetic wisdom you're giving people, I would highly suggest changing the name back to pastor and quit scaring people with this stuff. But hey, if you've got your own thoughts on this topic, leave those in the comments below. And until next time, take care and God bless.